It's time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
This episode of the Up North Journal podcast is brought to you by PSE Archery,
Black Eagle Arrows,
Scent Blocker,
Killer Food Plots,
Cabela's,
Spot Shooters,
Antler Action,
Family Traditions Tree Stands,
Tom's Custom Turkey Calls,
and Badass Slingshots.
Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal. Host Mike Adams sitting in the cabin.
We are sitting in the cabin.
Just back from up north.
Yeah, you are back from up north. Wet? A
Wet.
little thunderstormy?
Wore out.
A little farmy?
Dirt under my fingernails.
Man, you were hitting the turf.
I was planting, man. It was a long, hard weekend, but well worth it.
Getting the old Killer Food Plot fields ready for everything disced. And first you went out and you got the soil samples, and you got the tractor. Oh, you went and got the seed from them, and then you went up there and AJ helped you out and cut up the fields and got it planted.
Yeah, I played farmer.
You did play farmer. You have overalls on.
No, I did not have overalls, but I did have boots.
There you go.
I had boots. No, it was a good week. You know, I took off, was it Monday or Tuesday? Went over to Grand Rapids, made the drive over to Nick's over at Killer Food Plots, picked up everything that we needed, and loaded the trailer up. And that day started out a little concerned, to say the least, right out of the gate.
Oh, yeah?
Well, I worked. Yeah, I think this was Tuesday, because I worked over one night. And wait a minute, I take that back.
No, it was Thursday.
It was Thursday. That's right. So, long story short, I got up at 5:30 in the morning because I had to make the drive over.
5:30 a.m.?
Yeah, I was up.
Woo!
Up at the crack of dawn. So, as I get up, get everything ready, get ready to hook the trailer up, I walk outside, and I'm like, oh, that's right, the hitch is not on the back of the Jeep. I know where the hitch is at. It's laying in the front living room where I left it a couple weeks back. And then I suddenly remembered why I left it laying in the living room. Is my daughter and her husband come over to borrow the hitch. But they didn't take the hitch because it was the wrong size ball on the hitch.
Okay.
But they took the dog bone.
Oh.
So when I picked up the hitch, it didn't have the dog bone with it. And I was like, oh, no.
That's not good.
Number one rule that I have, if you borrow my tools or anything of mine,
bring it back?
Bring it back. Guess what didn't happen? They didn't bring it back.
They might still be using it.
Oh, no, they were done with it. There's no doubt about that. It just never made its way back. So I'm like, okay, it's now, I was supposed to leave no later than 6:30.
Right. And
it's now 6:10. And I'm like, okay.
What do I do now?
Hardware stores aren't open yet. Where am I going to go to buy one? And I'm thinking a couple of the big box stores are probably, like Meijer was open.
Meijer's is on the way.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, okay, I could probably get one there, but I'd have to drive there, get it, and get back, hook it up, and leave. I'm like, that ain't going to work. I had like a makeshift pin that I could use.
Okay.
You don't want to know how I hooked it up. Let's just say I had a makeshift pin.
Okay?
All right. In case I needed to get somewhere to where I didn't have to double back. And I thought, wait a minute, who else has got trailers? My sister. They've got some trailers. Got a camper and a boat and some other trailers. And I said, they got to have a dog bone. And she gets up early. So quick phone call to my sister. Hey, you up? Yep, I'm up. Told her what I needed. She's like, yeah, we got a couple of them. I'm like, well, can I borrow one? She's like, yeah, you can borrow one. She goes, I'll meet you halfway between here and your house and mine. So you don't have to drive all the way over and then come and double back. So the makeshift pin worked.
Made it?
It made it.
All right.
So got on the road, got over there, and man, was it windy that day. The wind was whipping. And
that was the day it was warm.
It was really warm.
But it was windy.
Yeah. We're talking 30, 40 miles.
Yeah, at least.
So got over there, and I'm probably, Nick's on the other side of Grand Rapids. He's halfway between Grand Rapids and Muskegon. And I think it's Coopersville is where he's at. And I'm north of Grand Rapids a little bit, and all of a sudden my phone beeps. Nick's texting me. He's like, hey, I'm 10 minutes out. How are you making it? And I said, well, I'm about 10 minutes out. So, okay, cool. I'll meet you there. So I'm coming up to the exit and running up I-96, and I'm a half mile from the exit. I can see it up the road. And all of a sudden, this big dually black truck comes flying around me and whips over in front of me and gets off the exit. And it's got Killer Food Plot logos all over it. And I'm like, okay. I said, get Nick on the phone. Hey, Nick, yeah. Hey, you driving the dually today? He's like, yeah, why? I said, I'm right behind you. He's like, oh, that was you. Yeah, that was me. So followed him on over, got loaded up, and we headed out. Or I headed back home with a load of GroGanix and the Climatize and some stuff. Make sure I get the exact thing called here. The Carnage brassicas we're going to plant later in the fall. And the one thing we did forget the Border Patrol. We got to talk.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You were telling me that you forgot the Border Patrol, so you had to do some driving around the up north to find it.
Yeah, but didn't realize it until after I already got up there. But we got to talking right there at the very end, and all of a sudden he looked at his watch. He's like, man, I got a blast. I'm supposed to be somewhere right now. So we kind of wrapped up real quick and took off. And, and on the way home, same thing. Wind was blowing 90 miles an hour, it seemed like, whipping the trailer pretty hard. But I got back okay and got everything packed up to head up north this weekend.
Sweet. And so you were up north, and how was the fields?
Everything's green, man. It's looking awesome.
You know, matter of fact, that's kind of funny you said that. Today, the Sunday we're recording the show, I walked out and I looked and I went, wow, it got thick quick.
Yeah. I was up the first week of May, so we're talking, see, that had been the 6th, then the 14th, 2 weeks prior.
Yep.
My rye in the field was probably 3-4 inches tall.
Okay.
When we went back to disc the field this weekend, it was every bit of 5 or 6.
Right. It's doing some growing.
Matter of fact, I had some that was actually starting to seed.
Oh, reseed, yeah. Cool.
Yeah, so I was like, man, that grew quick. Of course, we got a lot of rain, though.
We got rain and got warm.
Yeah,
You know, we had a couple of days there. It was warm but windy. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, it was definitely on the warmer side. So with the tractor and everything is now officially planted for the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Like you said, you're going to plant the brassicas later.
Yeah.
Are you going to plant those in the same field?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'll kind of go through that here as we go through the show, talking about the procedure we're going to use for that.
Good.
But, I drove up Friday night after work. It was funny, man. I loaded everything in the Jeep, got it all loaded up, had the trailer on, got a trailer load of GroGanix on the back. And got it all strapped down and everything. And I'm like, I can save 30 minutes at least minimum, maybe 45 if I just leave right from work and not come home and switch vehicles.
Oh, yeah.
So here I am with all my gear,
Pulling into work.
Farmer Jones pulling into work, and I pull through the lot, and one of the guys is sitting in his car getting ready to leave, and he looks at me, and he just shakes his head, He's like, he knows.
Yep.
He's like, oh, here comes Redneck again, So I pull in the back of the lot, swing around, park, take up 15 spots. Another buddy of mine, he gives me a hard time about that. He's like, how many spots do you need? I said, enough to where I can get this thing out when I need to leave.
Right.
So, I had everything ready to roll and made my way up north.
How was the drive?
Well,
oh, speaking of that.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know. I think maybe you got into some. Did you see the new speed limit signs?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
That was awesome. But actually, I could not drive.
Well, you have the trailer.
Because of the trailer.
Right.
And it was still a little bit windy, but that trailer was rocking just a little bit at 70. So I basically drove 65 all the way.
Right. Yeah, but no, they got the new signs. I read in the paper that they put out the new signs.
Actually, when I went up a couple weeks ago, they had them up.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So being 75 mile an hour speed limit now means you can drive 85. If you don't want to get run off the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always stop at my little pit stop there, just north of Bay City. I get off at Calling. I go to the Meijer store. It's a 24-hour supermarket, and I go in, get my groceries I'm going to need for a couple of days, and hit the road and go back. So as I'm getting ready to leave the store, I'm like, yeah, I need something to eat, man. I haven't eaten all day. So I think McDonald's is just down the road. So I cruise down there, grab something real quick, and I'm pulling back out, almost to the freeway. I mean, I can see the on-ramp, blue lights behind me. I'm like, okay, why is this guy pulling me over?
Right.
I pull over. I wasn't speeding or nothing. So, hands are at 10 and 2, car's off, lights are off, shut everything off, had the window down, just waited for him to come up.
Yep.
He's a young guy. He come up and he's like, and see your license registration? I said, yep. I said, I told him the usual with having a CPL.
Yep. You got to identify yourself.
Went through all that, and I said, but I'm not carrying, So he's like, no worries, no big deal. He goes, I need to see your driver's license. I said, well, it's okay to reach and get it because I don't want to get shot.
Yeah.
So he's cool. He's like, yeah, go ahead. So I get it out. He goes, don't even worry about the registration. We got to talking. He says, do you know why I pulled you over? And I said, no, not really. And he said, well, you have no lights on the trailer. And I said, oh, man. I said, not again. And he kind of looked. I said, I've had a problem with him in the past. I said, connector gets a little corroded, and I have to kind of exercise it and work it.
Yep.
He says, "Oh, okay." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I just stopped to get, food for up north, and I just got out of work." And I said, "I really didn't check them tonight when I left. I just jumped in the Jeep, and it was dark, and I took off, and I said, I'm heading north to work on my food plots." He says, "Oh, where are you coming from?" I said, "Well, I worked on a TV station in Flint." He's like, "Oh, okay." When you start trying to build a little rapport with him,
Yeah.
And he said, "Well, where are you heading to?" And I said, "Well, I'm up, up in Alcona County." "Oh, okay, cool." He said, "Well, let me go back and check real quick." He said, "Do me a favor and just come out and see if you can get them working." I get out, nothing was working. I was cleaning the connector. It just would not work. He comes back up, hands me my license, and he says, "Well, I'm not too concerned. I can see your taillights on your vehicle." He said,
Yeah, because you got a low trailer.
Yeah, it's real low. He said, "Just do me a favor. Just take it easy and just get them fixed when you can." I said, "Okay." I said, "Appreciate it." And I said, "Man," I said, "be safe out there." Shook his hand and took off. So he was real cool about it.
Absolutely. You're cool with them. They're pretty much cool with you.
Yeah. I guess that's the moral of the story that I was trying to get the point across is, just be up front with them, let them know what you're doing and where you're going, and,
Don't ask why 15 times.
Yeah. Obviously there's a reason why.
There is, and it's yes.
But my fries got cold.
I know.
That's the only thing that was bad about it.
Man, your fries got freezing cold.
So,
and if you don't eat those fries quick, it get cold. It's like, man.
So, yeah. So then the rest of the way up, I'm ultra paranoid that
the next cop's going to pull you over.
Yeah. Or somebody might not see much. But, you could see the lights on the Jeep. So I wasn't really worried somebody was going to hit me or anything like that.
Right.
But, yeah, you're still concerned. So I took the back roads the rest of the way up.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. When I got off, I took it's not any shorter or longer. It's just a different route to go. But the problem is when I take that back route, there's deer all over.
I was going
to
say if you went the other way.
Yeah, going through the national forest, man.
Did you see a lot of deer?
I saw a ton of deer.
That's a good thing.
It is, unless you're driving at night.
Were all the deer you saw wearing signs that said APRs for Michigan?
No, they didn't have them on there.
No.
But I knew they wanted that.
Oh, exactly.
So,
but you made it up. What time did you get up there then?
Oh, it was about 1 o'clock.
Oh, that ain't too bad.
Yeah, 1:15 or so. Kicked back, went to bed, got up early the next morning, and went to work. So
started farming.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, we're up on the first break here. Why don't we we'll pick this up where we started that day at when we come back from this break.
There you go.
Step outside. We'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has always dominated the speed category. Now, the most revolutionary cam system ever to hit the market has perfected the shooting experience. Introducing PSE's Evolve cam system, featuring extremely high let-off capabilities and the smoothest draw cycle in history. No other cam system has ever delivered this level of total comfort and total control. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Killer Food Plots have been helping property owners for over 20 years create premier whitetail habitat. Whether replenishing your soil with their all-natural GroGanix fusion pellets or planting a premier KFP food plot seed blend to help your deer rebuild their bodies through spring and summer while supplying the much-needed high energy during and after the rut, you can trust that Killer Food Plots family and their products will help your deer achieve their full potential.
Welcome back, second segment of the show. And
Farmer Mike here. The rooster goes off promptly at...
Yeah, the roosters are crowing, man.
At what time?
I got up at about 7:30.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I got up and I was crowing, man.
Yeah, I'm sure you were.
Because my the guy AJ who's brought his tractor and stuff up, who I had come up and do the field for me, he was still sleeping. And
was he staying in the lodge?
Yeah, he was using the spare the cook's room off the kitchen there.
Right. Yep.
And I knocked on the bathroom door and nothing happened. And so I made coffee and I went out to the Jeep to get something. As I came back in, that hallway, that where the refrigerators and stuff are out there, that wall is the cook's bedroom wall. So I beat on the wall, and nothing happened. I'm like, okay. Well, and one of the other members is up. Him and his son were there, and I assumed they were out turkey hunting. Sun was up, bright blue sky, no wind, beautiful morning. And I could hear the geese out on the water honking, and made a little breakfast and had my coffee and kind of doing my Facebook thing and looking through, and all of a sudden the other guy comes out and it's like, I thought you was turkey hunting. He's like, no. He said, no, my son's still sleeping. And I was like, so what is it? The older guys here get up early in the morning and these kids are always sleeping in? I said, what's up with that?
That's right.
So finally everybody kind of got up and around, and we got out, I think about 9:15, 9:30. We kind of wrapped everything up there and started heading out, got our plan together, and drug all the equipment out to the field and started working. So,
all right.
But yeah, beautiful morning. Got out.
And you didn't have no rain then?
No, not that day. That would have been yesterday morning.
It was
Saturday
cool.
Morning. Yeah, it was about 50 degrees, maybe even 45. Had the hoodies on, and it was a little brisk, but we knew what we needed to do, and he was getting ready to start spreading the GroGanix, and basically that was kind of the fill or the fertilizer all mixed in one to help build the soil. It's a soil builder.
So before you come up to the field, you got all your equipment ready. Mm-hmm. So you haven't done anything to the field yet.
No.
The first thing you're going to do is you're going to spread the GroGanix.
Yep, and that's 4 bags to an acre, I believe. No, 4 bags, 8 bags. 8 bags to an acre.
Okay.
And, we borrowed our manager there, who lives there on the property. He had a spreader that hooks up to a PTO in the back of a tractor. Yep. So we use that, dump the bags in, and you got to set into it a little bit of math, and you got to start thinking, because you got to set your speed on your tractor to the correct speed, and you got to set the spinner to the right rate to make sure you don't dump it too fast or too slow.
Right.
Because you don't want to run out, and you don't want to have to go back and do it twice. So we had to figure all that out. And I think we dumped 3 bags to start with and just kind of figure, okay, how much do we cover in here? And actually, we hit it right on the first time.
Good.
We dumped the 3 bags. Then we just started filling the hopper up, and he was doing his thing. While he was doing that, I was getting the cameras out and
got the 4th arrow arm all set on the tree.
Yeah, we got some cool shots of that.
Excellent.
So, we want to give a big shout out to 4th Arrow Archery for sending that over to us to use this year. So we got that out, set it up on the tree, got the drone out, flew the drone, had my other camera out, and we put the GoPro. We had it in 2 different spots. We put it on him for a while, so we get some footage of him driving, filling the hopper and all that kind of stuff, and then we actually strapped it to the back of the plow.
Okay.
So, as he's driving, you're looking behind to see.
Right.
Yeah, so
see what you're doing.
It'd be interesting to see what that camera angle looks like.
That'll be awesome.
So, but after we spread that GroGanix down, we got that all done. It was time to start disking. And I'm looking. This was the hard part for me. I know what seed does. I know what all this other stuff. The plowing, the tilling, the Cultipacking, and the fertilizer. I know you put all this stuff together in the right order and everything, and you get a crop.
Yes.
We've done this time and time, year after year. But I'm looking at my field that is just as lush green as can be, with 6 inches of rye in it.
And you're turning it over.
And we're turning it over. And I'm just like, I hope this works. I mean, it's one thing to say, you know what you're doing and you got the plan, but I'm not a farmer.
Okay, so isn't that one of the biggest, I wouldn't even say fears, but one of the biggest things that a lot of people go out and they do all this, and it doesn't work.
A lot of times they do it and they think it doesn't work, but it actually does work.
And vice versa. You're right. Yeah.
Or because there's nothing there, and the deer are browsing it down so quickly they're not seeing it.
That's why it's important to follow the steps. Mm-hmm. And if you get them all right, you're right. Mm-hmm. You might think, oh, I'm a failure. There's nothing in this field. They're chowing it down before it gets to where you come back a day or two later.
Right. So
see, that's why it's important to at least start with minerals report, soil testing, get the base knowledge.
And we did that.
Yep, you did.
We got our soil sample, and I actually spent a decent amount of time with Nick talking on the phone. He had the report sent to him, and he was looking at them, and no pun intended, but man, he can get into the weeds quick. He knows his stuff, and he's telling me you need to do this, and this, and I'm like, whoa. Okay, let's go step by step, because he's into this. He's into the science. He understands
he is. That's his forte.
Yeah. So, I made notes, made sure that we did everything, according to the way we needed to do it. And, he said we didn't need any lime this year because everything was set for that in our field.
Good.
He said, man, your soil samples came back great. He said, we're just going to use some GroGanix, build that soil, put a couple little extra things in there to bring it up to the level it needs to be. And I can't remember what thing it was lacking, but there was something there it was lacking. I think it was just basically organic matter.
Okay.
To hold all those nutrients and water in there. But, but I just, as I'm watching him turn that green upside down, and I'm just looking at it going, man, I hope this works. Otherwise, I got a barren field this year.
Yeah, but you know what? Even if you did, it would probably still grow again.
Yeah, there's going to be some of that's left because actually there's one spot in my field. It's probably about a quarter acre, maybe not that much, maybe an eighth to a quarter acre that was still wet. Actually, as AJ made his first round, he started down that way, and I'm monkeying around with cameras or I'm doing something, and all of a sudden. I just happened to look up at that time when he hit that wet spot, and the tractor wheel started spinning and it started sliding sideways.
It was that wet?
Yeah, and I'm just like, I covered my eyes. I'm like, oh no, and I look back and he had stopped. I'm like, please don't get stuck.
Right.
I mean, ruts, big deal. Though we can fix that, but just do not get stuck. So he backed up, raised the disc up a little bit, took a little bit of the weight off, and he got through it. But as we were getting ready to seed and we went back over there, I was walking, and where he'd rutted up, it was probably 8 inches deep, maybe the ruts, no more than 8 inches. By that afternoon, there was water standing in them, in the ruts.
Really? That much water still on the ground?
Yeah. And you want to talk about stink? I mean, it was peat moss. I mean, we're right next to that swamp.
Yeah.
And I was just really surprised that there was that much organic matter right there in that section. It's just right there in that section. The rest around it's sand.
Okay.
We're building that soil. It's taking time, but it's still a lot of sand there.
Right.
But but he got through that, and that was the first challenge that we had to kind of overcome was what do we do with that? And as he worked out of that area, as it got drier and drier, the one thing down there is it would turn over the grass and it would flop right back in because we weren't running a plow, we were running a disc.
Right.
So it was cutting roots, and we're hoping that's going to kill part of that. But not all of it got turned. So I'm like, I'm not going to ask you to keep disking because we're just burning time here. He tried going through that area in one spot 2 more times. Didn't do any good. Nope, same result.
Okay.
So I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to pay you to sit here and keep plowing green, making it green. So,
right.
So at that point, we just, we'd done everything else, and it was time to get busy with the cultipacker, and he cultipacked it. And, at that point, while he was cultipacking, actually, you know what? This is a good spot right now. Take a break. Take a break. We'll come back.
We'll talk some cultipacking.
I'll talk to the next problem we ran into.
Okay.
All right. We step outside. We'll be right back after this.
So what do you do when you've completely redefined the way bows are engineered? When you've reached the pinnacle and the band starts playing your victory song, you start a revolution out of thin air. Introducing the all-new PSE Carbon Air, engineered with true carbon technology to be the lightest high-performance bow in the world. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Throughout human history, one notorious killer has remained at the top and claimed more lives than any war or natural disaster combined. Mosquitoes. It's time to arm yourself and protect your family this season with Scent Blocker's new Bug Blocker for insects. Lasting up to 8 hours, Bug Blocker not only repels biting mosquitoes that can carry the West Nile virus, but other biting insects, including chiggers, biting flies, gnats, and ticks which can carry Lyme disease. Field tested by outfitters and guides from Alaska to Alabama and everywhere in between. The results are in, and Bug Blocker flat out works. In a high-potency sportsman strength dosage, using 25% no-nonsense DEET, plus 2 specific ingredients to target biting flies, Bug Blocker plays for keeps. For ultimate protection, pair Bug Blocker insects with Bug Blocker ticks.
Welcome back, everybody. Third segment of the show. We're talking about Mike and farming.
I'm a farmer.
You are a farmer. Mike the farmer.
Call me Farmer Jones or something. I don't know, Farmer Pete.
Getting that killer food plot stuff farmed out this weekend so we can talk about it in a few weeks to see how it's doing. But as we left off in the last segment, you got through the problems of getting it dissed and everything and got a little bit of a wet spot. But now you turned over to the Cultipacker.
Yeah, that was pretty simple and easy. You know, it was, okay, do you harrow drag it, you know, with like a screen with some weight on it to flatten everything out? Or do you cultipack it and then plant it and cultipack it again? You know, there's all different kinds of theories on that. Basically, we had to get a good seed bed, you know.
Right.
Firm up the seed bed so we could seed it and then try to cover it as best we could and press it into the ground. So AJ had a cultipacker, which that was pretty cool. I mean, it's a simple tool. It's a big roller.
Big roller that just flattens out everything.
Yeah, and did a real nice job, you know. When he was disking, and I mean, I remember as a kid being down on the farm at my grandfather's and running through the field after he was plowing. Yeah, it was big old ruts, you know. And with the disc, I understand the disc. It's basically cutting and turning, but it's not digging as deep. It was lumpy, you know. I'm like, man, I hope this cultipacker thing does what it's supposed to do because I really don't want to see my field full of lumps, you know.
Right. You gotta remember, everybody. You've been on farms, but you've never done the farming.
No.
You know, so basically, this isn't just, oh yeah, we've done that. No, you're learning
my first time.
First time.
Yeah, this is the first time that I've really planted anything like this. You know, I've wanted to do this for a while. I've watched it being done at our camp because we always had a farmer come in. And
right, you've always watched it, but you've never
Yeah.
kind of been behind the science of figuring out how much you need, what to do, how we're going to do it.
Yeah, so this is all brand new to me, you know. Never, you know, I didn't drive the tractor, obviously, but I was right there in the midst of doing all this. So, you know, he ran the cultipacker, worked really good, flattened everything out, really nice, left some nice, almost like rows to use as a gauge, and I'll explain a little bit of that as to why that was important for me. But once he got it all cultipacked, it was time to get the seed out. Okay.
So you've ran the disc and you've cultipacked it. About how much time has
That took us about 3.5 hours.
Okay.
Roughly.
So you're about 3.5 hours in.
And that's spreading the GroGanix as well.
Right. You spread the GroGanix, you've cultipacked it, so you're about 3.5 hours. You've got the seed bed down.
Yeah. So roughly it's taking about an hour to do 3 acres.
Okay.
2.5, 3 acres, what we were working with. And, you know, and then this whole time putting this plan together, I talked to Nick about running Border Patrol, their big high grass product.
Right.
And how to use it and how to plant it and all that. So we figured out one to wrap the whole field in it. You know, I thought we were going to just do one side of it, but you know, he explained the reason to wrap the whole field is to force the deer to come into the field, the bucks to come into the field to look for the does versus standing back in a staging area 20, 30, 40 yards off the field, looking out into the field like, hey, are the does out there yet? Nope, I'm just going to hang back here.
Right, you're making them work.
Yeah, making them work for it. So, you know, I left a few spots, gaps, you know, in the line or in the rows to allow the deer to be able to enter the field.
Right, to give them an opening to walk through, like you would with a fence, right?
Yeah.
If you open up a fence, they will find it and walk through it.
Yeah,
so you're doing the exact same thing.
Yeah. So this product grows 8 to 10 feet tall usually. Here in Michigan, people I've talked to that's had experience with it. So what we're doing a 10-foot wide screen of this high grass.
Okay.
So by the time it gets tall enough, it blocks their vision. They have to work to get in, but also it gives them a sense of comfort once they get inside that field to work it. You know, they're not paying attention to that surrounding because they feel safe because there's a barrier.
Right. They got that safeness that there's a
wall.
A wall.
Right. Yeah. To them, that's safety. There's cover.
Yep.
It's cover.
It's cover.
So that was the other reason we're putting it around the whole perimeter of the field. And then I'm going to have stand placement. Once I start seeing travel corridors, if they change from what they are now, I left little openings at different travel corridors. But if for some reason they change because of this, then at that point I'll make an adjustment. I'll come in and with probably a weed whip and just give them a 2-foot opening to work through. You know,
yep.
If need be. So, but yeah, that was that whole process. But when we got ready to plant that, we figured 3 bags for the field, and according to the measurements that I took, I get into the Jeep And I'd already had a bag on hand that actually I got from the Michigan Deer Summit that I won up there on a raffle. So I had the one bag, and I needed two more that I was supposed to get. Well, amongst Nick and I talking,
Forgot something?
we forgot to get the 2 bags.
Whoops.
So I didn't have them, and I'm like, oh no, So I knew one bag would do just about half the field. We're going to do 3 bags because I was going to use it in another spot and also possibly put some fingers sticking out into the field.
Yeah.
To make the deer work through the field versus just sticking their head into the field around the screen and looking. So that was the process we're trying to accomplish. But I only had the 1 bag. I'm like, oh man, what do I do? What do I do? So just so happens I do get a phone signal from my field.
Yeah.
And text Nick within 3 or 4 minutes. He's texting me right back. It's like, okay, we'll put a plan together. He's like, okay, go call this place and check and see if they've got it. Call this place, check, see if they've got it. His worst case scenario, he said, I'll ship it to you, but you won't have it this weekend. And I'm like, man, I want to get everything planted this weekend.
Right, you want to have it done and over with.
Yeah, so that was that. But we planted the one swath. And going back to the Cultipacker, it was about a 6-foot wide Cultipacker. And the way he was running it, when he overlapped, his rows were 11 feet wide. Okay. So that gave me my 10-foot barrier that we were going to plant this. So I knew them first 2 Cultipacker tracks on the outside of the field. So that was my gauge.
Yep.
And I also bought a hand seeder.
Right.
It was and Nick recommended the one made by Earthway. It was a model 2750. It's got a 25-pound bag, nylon bag on top.
Okay. It's
got a gate. You can set the gate on it. For the trickle rate for the seed, depending on the size and all that, it's pretty. Once again, you got to do math,
right? Exactly.
And it's like, okay, so I set the gate on this thing, and it's supposed to be, this size seed is supposed to disperse at this rate, for every crank, But I'm like, okay, so how do I know how fast to crank this thing? But the way they measure that is your walking pace, So
okay,
so every 2 steps is what we call a pace. So every pace you crank 1 time. So every time I landed on my right foot, the crank was coming back, and I was making sure it was hitting my stomach.
Oh, okay.
Or brushing up against my stomach. So that way, I just kept that it was a cadence.
Yep, you got a rhythm going, and you got rhythm.
That day I did.
There you go. See,
but we planted what we had, and then it was after that, AJ said to me, he said, well, why don't you start planting the other stuff, and I'll start cultipacking again right behind you, In the meantime, he had to run up and get another piece of equipment or get his trailer or something. He was going to switch vehicles. I had mine back there. He's going to take mine up, bring his truck and trailer back.
Okay.
So I started planting the field with the Climatize seed. And same thing. You got to rate. You got to figure it out. And then I was walking my spreader at that point with the rate that I had set for that seed was spraying 3 rows wide.
Okay.
So, and I could turn it a certain way on my body, so I had hit 1 row to my right and 2 rows to my left. So I wasn't walking down the middle. I was hitting a tractor tire track. So that was the way I was gauging.
That's your gauge to walk. You walk this tire track.
So then I'd get to the end of the field, I'd turn around and I'd jump over 1 row and then come back the other way. And, I have 1 to the right, 2 to the left.
And away you went.
Yeah. So I was jumping across the field. So time he got back, he got the tractor back out and was cultipacking, and I finished planting, and it all worked out. So.
Awesome. And then he so you cultipacked it the first time to level it.
Yep.
Then you cultipacked it the second time to press the seed into the dirt.
Yep.
Which only put the seed a 1/4 inch in or so.
There were seeds you could see. There were seeds.
Okay.
Obviously there wasn't as many seeds on the ground as when I was broadcasting it.
Right. It put some in and some on top. Okay.
It just depended on kind of how it hit what was there.
You're looking for contact to the earth.
Yep. Ground contact.
Right.
Yep.
So cool.
So we got that all done, and we called around. I found out where I could get some seed.
Oh yeah.
So
and it's not right at the corner.
No.
Oh, the corner store is never there.
No. So I tell you what, let's save that for the next segment. We're going to step outside. We'll be right back after this.
I shoot PSE because I like 1 pin to 40 yards.
I shoot PSE for the perfect combination of feel and performance.
I shoot PSE because you can shoot lighter poundage and increase arrow speed.
I shoot PSE for the fastest bows on the planet.
I shoot PSE because my livelihood depends on my bow.
I shoot PSE because better engineering makes a better bow.
I shoot PSE.
I shoot PSE.
I shoot PSE. I shoot PSE.
Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Killer Food Plots have been helping property owners for over 20 years create premier whitetail habitat. Whether replenishing your soil with their all-natural GroGanix fusion pellets or planting a premier KFP food plot seed blend to help your deer rebuild their bodies through spring and summer while supplying the much-needed high energy during and after the rut, you can trust that Killer Food Plots family and their products will help your deer achieve their full potential.
Welcome back, everybody. Last segment of the show. We're talking with Farmer Mike.
Down on the farm.
Down on the farm. Actually, we're in the last segment of the show, and we're almost to your days complete of farming.
Almost,
but you got to go to the corner store.
Yeah, the corner store is not a mile and a half. I was just a mile and a half away.
Yeah, that would have been awesome.
Hour and a half away.
But in typical fashion up north or up in the UP, the corner store is never at the corner.
No.
And it just happens to be the store you need to go is never within a mile or two.
No, it wasn't within 10 miles. It was 60-something miles.
You were doing
away.
an hour travel.
Yeah, it was an hour 15, hour and a half, easy.
Right, so you needed to get... You were a couple bags short on the Border Patrol, which you needed to find.
Yeah, I won't say the name of the place because I didn't have a good experience.
Right, exactly. They kind of... You called them. They told you one thing, you got there, and it was a different story when you got there.
Yeah.
But you were able to get a bag.
Yeah, I was able to get a bag. So, they said they had 5.
Yeah, they had 5. They had 2. You got... And AJ wanted 1, so...
Yeah.
You got 2, and you needed 4, but... You're going to make do with what you have.
Yeah, that's the way it goes.
Right, that's the way it rolls, right?
Yeah, so, I get over there, and, lo and behold, they didn't have 5. Did what I had to do. And, there's little complications along the whole way. You get over there, they didn't have what they said they had. We can make do. So, when I pulled in over there, I looked at the gas gauge, and I'm like, I'm going to need to get gas before I leave town. No big deal. Go in the store. I'm waiting on the guy. I couldn't find everything there that I needed for what I thought they had. Went to the restroom, come back out, talked to another dude, and, he did some checking. Lo and behold, we had what we had. We got out of there. But as soon as I get outside, a buddy of mine from work texts me. So I'm sitting there and we're texting back and forth real quick. And long story short, my mind was somewhere else.
Somebody forgot to put gas in the truck.
I jump in the Jeep, take off, and I'm heading back. And I'm out of town about 15 miles, maybe 20. And I'm fixing to turn down a road. Siri's taking me. I'm taking the back roads back the quick way.
Okay.
Instead of the main highway. And I'm getting ready to turn down a road. I just make this turn. I know where it's taking me. It's taking me cross country. And all of a sudden, beep. Like, uh-oh. Look down. The gas gauge is on E.
Shoot.
That's about what I said.
Right.
With a few other letters.
Yeah.
And I just stopped. I'm like, what do I do? So I turned around, went back to the corner I just turned at, and there's a stop sign there. It's in the middle of nowhere, so I'm just sitting there thinking. I'm like, okay, phone, don't fail me now. Siri, where's the nearest gas station? Hoping I got a signal.
Did you have signal?
I had a signal. She responded, and there's a station 4.5 miles down the road. So I'm like, oh, thank you, Lord. But then I'm thinking, oh, wait a minute. We're in northeastern Michigan, the middle of nowhere, and they can either be closed,
out of business,
or out of business,
right?
I'm like, because I was in the middle of nowhere. I'm like, okay, it's either that, or it's either I had probably just enough gas to get back to town.
If you got probably 2 gallons when you're on E.
So I'm like, okay, Siri, I'm going to trust you.
Don't fail me now.
Don't fail me now, AT&T. So I made that turn, and because I knew once I went that way, there was no turning back.
Right.
You
committed.
I'd committed to it. So I drove the 4.5 miles. There's the gas station, and they were open.
Woohoo!
And actually, the price of gas was the same price as it was here in town.
You can't beat that.
I was amazed.
Yeah, well, yep.
So I filled it up.
First of all, amazed that they were open.
Yeah.
They weren't out of business.
But the other thing was kind of crazy. I pull up to the pump, immediately recognized it was an old pump.
Was it the old-fashioned pump?
Yeah, it's not the old-fashioned, but it was old enough that it had it didn't have the spin dials. It had the digital readout, but there was no place to put a credit card in.
Okay.
And there's nothing. I mean, it was just like you pull it out of the side.
Yep.
And you pull the little thing up.
Yep.
So I'm looking at it. I said, okay, this is prepay. Got to be a prepay. So I go inside and said, I need to get some gas. I said, is it prepay? She's like, no, just go ahead, fill it up. Come on in when you're done. Okay. When's the last time you seen one of those?
It's been a while.
So yeah, that's what I did. It just kind of threw me back a little bit.
I tell you what,
the nostalgia of it,
No kidding. There is a gas station up by Tequila Falls, just outside of Paradise, I think.
Does it get the numbers that roll?
You got the numbers with the tenth.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that was like awesome.
Nostalgic.
I actually pulled up and said, and Deb was with me. We looked at each other. I said, "Wow!"
Right.
It was kind of fun to actually sit there and watch.
Right.
But okay, so you got gas.
Got gas.
Got back.
Well, and I'm getting ready to get gas. I'd already pumped, and while I'm pumping gas, I get this phone call. Phone rings. I'm like, okay, still got signal. Hey, we're doing good. And look at the phone. It's John back at camp, and he's like, hey, did you get lost? And I'm like, no, but I almost ran out of gas. Told him where I was at, and he says, you're still an hour away. I go, I know. And he says, well, have you eaten dinner yet? And I said, no, I didn't get nothing to eat. I said, I got stuff back there at camp to cook. He goes, we've already got dinner cooked. Don't worry about it. Just get back here.
All right.
So, yeah, made my way back. On the way back, saw a bald eagle.
Did you?
Yeah, that was really cool. I actually saw two this weekend. I saw that one on Saturday.
Did you see one on your property?
No, I seen one today coming out. I was, probably 15, 20 minutes down the road.
Because didn't you have one hanging out around your lake?
Yeah. We always see bald eagles around there. Yeah. It's not uncommon. I mean,
yeah.
I seen one the last time I was up too. So seeing them pretty regular now.
Cool.
But I saw two this weekend in two different spots, so not the same one.
Excellent.
Actually, the one that I saw today, it was hilarious. What caught my eyes was I seen the bird immediately recognize what it was, but there was another bird behind it, a small bird, and it was chasing it. It was
dive bombing it as they're flying. And...
Yeah, it was like he was chasing them away from something. Yep. I'm like, dude, you're the most majestic bird out there,
and you're running away from him.
Why don't you turn around and grab him in your talon and just take care of business?
That's right.
So now I got back to camp and we're sitting there eating dinner. Hockey game was on. The Nashville Predators.
Oh yeah, Anaheim.
Yeah.
So
we sitting there and we're all rooting for Nashville. If you're an Anaheim fan, sorry. So got done with that, and it's like 10 o'clock, okay? AJ looks over at me and goes, you ready to go plant that border patrol? And I said, huh? I go, it's dark out. And he goes, yeah, I know. I got lights. I go, are you serious? And he goes, yeah. He goes, I got LED lights. I just bought a light bar. And he says, I wanted an opportunity to use it out. Yeah. And I'm like, all right. I said, I don't care. Yeah, I'll go out there and walk it and plant it. Because all I had to do is walk the perimeter of the field.
Right.
So...
And he was going to follow you with the LED lights.
Yeah, well, and his cultipacker. So
right.
He'd cultipack it as I was planting. And so, yeah, we ran out. And by the time we got out there, it was 10:30. 10:30 at night, lit the field up and planted it and cultipacked it. And that was all it.
That's awesome.
So that's how we finished in the dark.
There you go. And then you finished in the dark, and then Mother Nature.
It rained last night. Actually, it rained before I got back. It rained on the way back from the store. So, and I kind of caught it and drove through it. Or actually, I chased it over back to camp, and it was raining. We eat dinner, and it quit. And so the ground was wet. It wasn't soaking wet, but it was damp. So I was like, yeah, let's go ahead and get this done.
Nothing better than that smell.
And then it rained all night.
Right, it rained.
Soft rain, gentle rain. It wasn't a hard rain.
It wasn't a washout rain. It was something that just helped the seeds get a little bit better content.
Yeah. Well, and then today... Got up this morning, and I still had a few things. I had checked trail cameras, and I wanted to put a growth cage up.
Oh, yeah, you were going to put a growth cage.
Yeah, so I went, and then we had some extra fencing laying around, hog wire fencing, so I got that. I don't know.
Did you just put one growth fence out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was probably 10, 12 foot long. Got 3 fence stakes.
Yep.
The T-posts. Drove, I kind of estimated about 4 foot apart. Drove 2 of them in the ground. Hooked it on one end and attached it with a bungee cord so I could take and pull it.
Right.
I was by myself and turned it, and then kind of figured out where that third post needed to be, how far away from them to gauge. And, it's about a 4-foot triangle.
Okay.
Ish, roundish.
It's something that the deer can't get through.
Right.
So you'll see definitely a growth in it.
Yeah, and it's 5-foot high fence. So, it's not like they're going to, stick their head over top.
No, they're not.
Or anything like that. So, but yeah, it's just, and I put a trail camera on it close by so we can watch the growth rate on that to see, because like we talked about earlier in the show, is this working? There's no way to really tell if the deer are browsing it down to the nubs and you're not seeing any growth. It's like, it's not growing. There's nothing going on here.
Right.
So now we're going to know.
And it's going to be kind of important, being your first year you're doing this, to see that and to kind of gauge, especially when you get into the other ones, letting the field get high enough that it actually they don't mow it right down and you don't get nothing.
Yeah,
right. And because you see, you see some people, they even have to go and they have to put up barriers to stop them from, just to give it time to grow.
Well, we thought about that. We talked about that. Do we put electric fence around it? And our camp manager, he has all the stuff to do it, except for I need to pick up a battery, a deep cell battery, so the solar panel will have something charged too.
Exactly. Yep.
But beyond that, we got enough to fence half that field. And he said, well, are you going to fence it? And I'm like, well, number one, I don't have time. Number two, Nick said, just, it's there for the deer to eat. Let them eat it. We're not growing a crop. It's not a cash crop.
Right.
And if they browse it down, they browse it down. At least they're getting use of it. So the growth cage is going to tell us, give us confidence in what we've done, and also see how well it can do.
Right.
If there's nothing browsing it. And then once, and if it's not getting over browsed later in the year, we got to figure out exactly what time frame we're talking about. We got to put fertilizer on it, and then we got to broadcast our Carnage brassica over top of that, and then run the mower over it and mow whatever's still up.
So, do you mow it first, then broadcast? Or
I got to double check to make sure.
Oh yeah, okay, just to make
But broadcast it and then mow it. That way, that stuff lays on top and it helps hold. Give it that chance to take off.
Gives it a bed.
Yeah. So, yeah, different.
Oh, I see. If you put it down and then mow it, the grass will be on top of it. Gives it cover. Gives it time to get into. Okay.
Yeah. And truthfully, I don't think we're going to have a whole lot to mow.
I get a feeling, if you ask me, and the deer are like this. Once they find it and it's yummy,
yeah, they're on it.
They're going to be on it, and they're not going to be going far away from it once they figure out, hey, I can sleep over there and eat over here.
Well, the Climatize is 4 seeds. Right here's a bag. It's got 4 different seeds in it, different growth rates, different times of the year. It's got, let's see if I can read this now. Winter peas, soybean, buckwheat, and sugar beets.
Right.
So there's 4 different plants growing at the same time at different rates. Being able to give that field something to...
and what I like about it is you look at the different seed sizes in there, right?
Yeah.
So, it'll be interesting to see how this goes. Excited.
Well, the Carnage brassicas has got, 5, 6 different seeds in here. Purple top forage turnips, dwarf Essex rape, Killer Food Plot brand forage rape, Killer Food Plot brand radish, Killer Food Plot brand forage turnips, and Maris Kestrel kale. So that's 6? I think it's 6 different things that are growing in this.
And that goes in July?
This goes in for our zone here. We're in zone 1. The fall planting July 15th, between July 15th and September 15th.
Right, because of the soil the ground temperature's got to be a certain.
Yep.
Right?
So, and I forget what that one is. I think we just got inside the window on that one for the plant.
April 15th to July 1st
for the spring.
For the spring
zone.
So you're right smack dab in the middle.
Yeah. Well, and I talked to him about that. I was like, okay, that optimal temperature is 60-degree ground temperature. Do we plant now? Because I said, right now is the only weekend I really got. And he goes, well, when can you plant? If it's not this weekend, when are you going to plant? I said, middle to late June. He's like, no, put it in now. He said, we're not getting frost anymore.
No. Should not be getting frost. We'll get rain. Right. Should not get frost.
So, but yeah, we did that today. I got out there. When I went out to put that cage up, I hit the field, and this was about 10 o'clock in the morning. and I just heard this big gobbler just screaming his head off.
Screaming, shoot me.
And I was like, man, of all days, I'm here working, got to finish this up. And I heard a couple of partridge drumming, or grouse, we call them partridge up here, but grouse. They were drumming in the background, and I could hear the thunder cracking. The storm was coming in, and I'm like, got to go. Got to hurry, get it done.
Got to get it done, get out of here.
So, but yeah, I got my tail soaked after that, pulling trail cams, cards and stuff. So
cool. But you got it done.
Got it all done.
Now you're going to go through the trail cam pictures, see what you can find.
Started that.
Yeah, you started that.
I found a deer that was really sick.
Really?
Yeah, not good. Not good at all. Looks really malnourished, which to me surprises me because we've got so much food on the property for him to eat.
That could be something else.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I think it's something else. I mean, it looks emaciated.
Yeah, something's up.
And its face looks really odd. I mean, it looks
ill.
Yeah. I'll show you when we get down the show here. I'll show you.
Yeah.
And I pulled the camera that was in front of the deer kill site.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, with that. I got about 3 or 4 pictures off that weren't really worth a hill of beans. A spider decided to crawl right up on top of the sensor, the infrared sensor, and die.
Of all places, right?
Yeah. Well, I that camera in particular, I mean, it was starting to rain. I was going to move some stuff around, and I was just I grabbed a couple of my cameras at that point. Just pulled them off the tree and put them in the Jeep, went back to camp. Because another problem I had, my laptop was dead. Oh. So I couldn't do it in the Jeep, so I had to take all the cards, go all the way back to camp, dump the pictures off, bring them all back out and put them out. So as I picked that camera up to put the card in, I looked at it, I was like, what's wrong with this? And I looked at it, I'm like, there's something on the lens. Oh, that's a spider. So I had something laying there. I just picked it up and tried to move it, see if it was alive. It was dead, but it covered the whole infrared sensor. And I'm like, are you kidding me? The one camera that I really was anxious to see the photos off of, the one camera.
Mr. Spider.
And
goes and dies.
Yeah, died. It's like he parked right on that. It's like, it's got that big concave indentation. He's going to hide out there. And
I'm going to die.
Yeah, so.
Oh, well. Welcome to playing with Mother Nature.
Right.
Don't mess with Mother Nature.
No. But, it was a good weekend. It was a hard working weekend. Physically, for what I did, it wasn't a lot of heavy lifting or anything.
You walked.
But it was the walking, walking on soft ground, uneven ground.
It's like walking in sand.
Yeah.
It's like walking on the beach. It's like it's not a sidewalk. It's not a driveway. You're walking in sand. It takes a toll.
Well, that field's about 800 feet long.
Yep.
That's just in a straight line at its longest point, plus the contour. And I walked around that thing, and I walked up and down it, a dozen times.
In the daylight, in the dark.
In the dark. That was kind of cool.
Hey, that's what LEDs can do for you.
Yeah. I was just hoping there was no bear.
Yeah, it's always a good one.
That was the one thing I was worried about, is having a bear out there. But
or a pack of
four-legged
coyotes coming to, hey, we can take them out.
Yeah, or any other four-legged dog-type creature.
Right, that we don't have down here, but
yeah.
Right. So, but no, glad that all worked out. Stay tuned. We're going to have some great picks in a few for...
I got some good video, too. I'm going to put some stuff out here, hopefully in a week or two. Thread that together and put that out for everybody to kind of take a look at. And I've posted pictures on our Up North Journal page and a couple quick short videos. So, yeah, it was a pretty cool weekend. Flew the drone. The drone acted up on me. I flew it, and when it it's got a perimeter limit you can fly to. I got that set so it doesn't take off on me. It got to that perimeter limit and then disconnected from the controller. And I was like, my screen blacked out. I'm like, what do I do? And I'm like, does the joystick still work? And I like moving it, and I could fly it back to me. So I flew it back, and as it got about halfway back, it reconnected. I'm like, okay, I just got too close to the perimeter maybe. I don't know, something's going on here. So I flew it back out again, did the same thing, but it never came back. So I just grounded it. I was using a cable that wasn't Apple approved with my iPad.
Oh.
So I think that's probably why it disconnected.
Wow.
These iPads are flaky. That's it hooks to my controller.
That's Apple.
So I've got a flight screen that I can
right.
watch.
And if you're not using our approved stuff,
Yeah.
We're gonna mess with you.
But I did get quite a bit of video before that happened. So
cool.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that all worked out.
Absolutely.
And I'm interested to see the video with GoPro on him driving and the one where we put it on the rear of the plow.
On the rear of the plow.
Yeah. So
good deal.
So what did you do this weekend?
Nothing like that. I shot my bow.
Yeah.
Shooting the PSE, shooting the Black Eagles, just doing some. Actually, what I did is I took. I'm going to shoot the Renegades this year. I shot the Zombies last year, and we switched for. You gave me a 6-pack of Carnivores, and so what I did is I got them all set, and I was shooting them, all of them. I was shooting 2 each, and at 20 yards. To me, right now, there is no difference.
Okay. What about 20. When you step back?
Well, I haven't gotten there yet. I was just shooting 20
See,
yards.
that's what I'm wondering about. Is the Renegades are the
smaller diameter.
Smaller diameter, lighter arrows.
Yep.
So I'm wondering once we step back, if we can, let's say you're shooting like the Vintage or the Carnivores or the Zombies at, say, 30 yards. In your 30-yard pen, could you step back to 40 or 50 and shoot that lighter one?
Exactly.
And that 30-yard pen, that's the kind of
thing.
Stay
tuned for that. We're working on that.
Yeah. So, be interesting to see.
Absolutely.
Or speed-wise, is it picking up speed?
I'd like to shoot it. I'd like to shoot those through chronograph. And
I got a chronograph.
We should get it out.
We can do that.
All right. Let's do it.
More fun stuff to do.
Absolutely.
So, anything going on? You're going north.
I'm going north. I'm heading north because it's... the weekend will be Memorial Weekend. I'm going to head north, go open the cabin, and
which this show is airing Memorial Day weekend, right?
Right.
Yes.
And
except for on the OPC, it'll be the Friday after Memorial
Day. Right. And going to head north, open the cabin. Stay tuned.
I'm going to be on vacation as well for 2 weekends. So when you're listening to this show, we'll have one more show that's going to be pre-recorded as long as I can set the interview up and get it done this week.
Yep.
So that's going to be interesting. It's an outdoor writer for children.
That ought to be cool.
Yeah, I'm really anxious to talk to this person about their books.
That'll be awesome.
So stay tuned for that as well. But you will hear back from us on our live stream, hopefully the weekend of June 11th.
That's what we were saying.
Yep, I got a graduation and an open house coming between now and then.
Right, exactly. So looking at the schedule, June 11th.
Good deal. That it for the week?
That's it.
All right. You guys, hopefully everything was good for your Memorial Day weekend. And as we always say here at the Up North Journal, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe. This episode was brought to you by PSE Archery,
Black Eagle Arrows,
Scent Blocker,
Killer Food Plots,
Cabela's,
Spot Shooters,
Antler Action,
Family Traditions Tree Stands,
Tom's Custom Turkey Calls,
and Badass Slingshots.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe. Until next week on the Up North Journal.